Hola mis amigas, Cara Nuevo. Welcome back to Karina's Adventures, where I enjoy telling all of my fellow Christian writers the things I've learned along this journey of writing. So, one of my last videos was about melodrama and the top 2 reasons behind it, which in that video I addressed as not knowing your plot and not knowing your characters. But I've been thinking since I made that video that there's kind of an underlying problem, internal problem in the writer that's really the undergirding reason for melodrama. Yes, you have the problems of not knowing your plot and not knowing your characters, but the reason those can go unaddressed and create melodrama is because of this underlying reason. So what's the ultimate thing that kills the believability of your drama? Well, it's not trusting your own instincts. As writers, I feel like, for me in the past, the times where I've had the most melodrama, where I'm just throwing horrible things at my character and they're knocking them out and having them get hurt all the time. Yes, I did that. Yes, it was very melodramatic. But the underlying reason was that I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. I didn't know what the stakes were to the character. So nothing I was doing seemed to be hitting home because it wasn't harming anything that seemed important to the character. I mean, yeah, okay, if you're getting hurt, that's important, but there wasn't any internal goal in the character that I was blocking. It was just, let's have all this terrible stuff happen. So how can you avoid this problem? How can you become more confident as a writer so that you know how to make sure everything you're writing is going to be believable? Unfortunately, as writers, one of the things we have to learn how to do, one of the hardest things I am still learning how to do, is to trust our instincts. There is not a one-size-fits-all in writing. Yes, there are stereotypes, tropes, and traps you need to avoid, but many times there is not a right or wrong way to write. It depends a lot on your audience, it depends on what you're going for, and obviously if you're writing Christian fiction for certain age ranges like I do, that creates a lot of some parameters that you have to stay in to keep your audience in mind, depending on how conservative the story needs to be. But I feel like once you learn how to write, and once you learn how to structure the story, and also if you're writing a historical story, doing your research, that's one of the things that I tended to struggle with. That's why I had the tendency to kind of beat around the bush in my stories and not have the story really go anywhere, is because I would just pick a setting like the Roman times or the Pioneer era. And at that point, I was so young. I mean, I was probably around the age of 12 or younger. I really did not have access to the internet at that age, which of course was for the better. But that kind of led to a lot of just, let's put them in costumes and stick them in the proper setting, but it left out all the cultural stuff. And if you're a younger author, I'm not aiming this channel, disclaimer, at authors as young as 12, but if you happen to be one, or if you have one in your life who is younger, you know, early teens, or maybe you're mentoring an author that's younger, don't be discouraged from writing stories that take place in historical settings. But if you do have access to properly research, or if you are at a place in your life where you're actually intending to publish the books, make sure you do your research, because that will make you much more confident. It makes me confident in a story. Everyone knows probably by now I like to write stories that take place on ships. It makes me confident when they sound like sailors. There's no language, like terminology. Just clarify that real quick. But I feel good whenever they have the instincts that sailors have, whenever I can kind of tap into that historical. It makes them feel real, and that gives me confidence. It gives me confidence when I'm writing a story about something I believe in, to just say, I'm going to get it down on paper, I'm going to edit later, and this is a story that I want to tell, that I feel called to tell. And you just kind of have to remind yourself of that why you're writing this book in the first place. There are going to be times where the story beats around the bush and does not make sense, but if you have the mindset that you can do it, even if it's going to take time and practice and editing. If you have that mindset, you're going to have a lot more confidence, and that's going to help you outrun melodrama. So I hope this helps. I know it kind of rambled a little bit, but it's because I'm a writer, so I'm a lot better with words on paper than I am out loud. Does anyone relate? Anyway, I hope this helps you. Best source for killing melodrama is do your research, trust your instincts, and trust that God has given you this story to write. And that will give you a big boost in your confidence, and a boost in your confidence is just what you need to stop beating around the bush and get rid of melodrama, or at least start hacking at it. Have a blessed day, Dios le bendiga, and happy writing, mis amigas. I'll see you next time.